Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Oh, wait, now
Wow.
I apologize. Like I was just having
That's
too
got to
much
be the
fun.
worst intro I've ever heard.
Hey,
Just
hey,
saying.
hey, hey, we live. You can't be saying stuff like that.
Just saying. Yes, I
Okay.
All
can.
right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I was torturing a girl. I wasn't supposed to go live, but it did. So let me play the proper intros and we'll
Thank
get
you.
started.
Something a
good
little
luck.
bit with class. Thank you.
Yes, that's right. Some classy stuff.
That's right.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Intro. Welcome to the Outer Realm. We're broadcasting live on the International Public Radio right here on United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. Outer Realm is fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers. That's right, Folgers, who have had the faith in us from the very beginning, and we thank you for that, Folgers. It would not
Very
be the
much
same
so.
without you being a part of our journey. And of course, we're not going to forget our other sponsor, the amazing Dr. Snick, who is AKA the Sonic Surgeon, also AKA Justin Snicker, who is amazing. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave, electronic music. You can just smack me later, Justin. I'm sorry. Dr. Snick's music is available on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and most streaming platforms. So we thank you for the generous contribution to our show. You make it that much better. So tonight, by popular request and demand, I should say, Amelia and I will be doing another Q&A, which I guess someone's put you guys in charge somehow. I don't know. Sorta. Sorta. Could be fun. But in order to participate, you have to come over to UFO Paranormal Radio Network, or of course, to International Public Radio, but not if you want to speak directly or have your comments, directly addressed. Tag Amelia. We will see all of your comments on, of course, we've got Canada's Most Haunted, Michelle Desrochers. We've got the Outer Realm, of course. We've got all of our, UFO, Paranormal Radio, United Public Radio. I can't remember them all. News on the flip side. We've got Twitch. We've got Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover. I think that I get that right. Anyway, you're going to see it streaming everywhere. We've also got Twitch. We're on at least 8 different platforms, guys, and we can see it. And tonight is the night where we do delve right into your questions and comments. So we'll do our very best to get through this with you. Thank you. Time for you guys to settle in, grab a Folgers even, and get ready for some great conversation. And I'd say a few laughs as well. How that? I'm still in the intro mode.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I know, right? The tone is still up there.
I know. So how was your day? How was your day? This is a day we actually, oh, hey, Allison. Aw, miss you too.
Hi, Allison. Yes.
Yeah.
Today was a crazy day.
Crazy day. Crazy day's not fun.
No, it was fun. It was crazy because I lost my focus, which is a normal day.
Losing the focus is never good.
Lost my focus. Found a new show on a streaming network that has got me so. Hi, Allison. That has got me so pulled in like The Godfather. I thought I was done with binging, and it's a mini series, so it's 1 season only. It's a limited series, and it is damn twisted, right up my alley. Love it. But I'm losing time, so I can't. I'm hoping it'll be over soon. I'm hoping there's not too
Twisted
many
is
episodes.
interesting. Twisted could go into, different
There's-
directions.
There's no other way to describe it, it's quite interesting, and it's from the makers of Bly Manor and Hill House.
Hill House. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey,
Thank you.
Zach.
Hi, Zach. And
Yeah. Hey, Janie.
it's a phenomenal story. Hi, Janie.
Ooh,
It's a
rolling
phenomenal
on in,
story.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those type of
Give 'em a
shows
minute.
are good, though. It's sort of like
Well,
American Horror Story, right?
It's exactly, and it's
Right,
like
right.
it's called Midnight Mass, and it's like it has everything from every horror flick you've ever watched rolled into this one little limited series, and it moves so fast you cannot leave to go to the bathroom. You literally have to pause it. I thought, oh, it just run really quick, come back. I'm like, what?
I don't have the time to sit and watch television.
No, but I do things while
that's something
it's
like it's a
on.
real rarity, to be able to do.
But that's when I do things. That's when I get things done, right?
Right.
I was
can
doing laundry.
tell.
No, but I
forgot to
did
have
laundry.
a shower.
Yeah, I did forget to shower, but I had to run into
Yeah.
the shower really late. But I mean, I was folding my laundry. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
doing stuff like
No,
that.
for
where
sure,
it's
for sure.
there, and I'm like, dinner got made. I just brought it on the iPad into the kitchen. So dinner was made, But yeah, it was just if you have an opportunity to watch it, not right now because you're watching us, but if you have the opportunity to watch it, catch Midnight Mass. I'm not going to say who the streaming service is because they don't pay us, so I'm not going to tell you what it's on. Yeah. But it's worth the time. I wasn't one of those who could watch Hill House like beginning to end. I couldn't do it.
Twice.
And this
I actually watched it twice.
Yeah,
the whole series. I loved
couldn't
it.
get through it.
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. This one, the first one was a snoozer, but I persisted. The first episode, if it doesn't grab me, you're screwed. You lose my attention so fast. But something in me said, just give it a chance. I think it was that rolling to the next one.
Justin,
Hi,
how are
Dr. Sid.
you?
Woo.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And just crazy.
Right.
Great show if you're looking for something. Midnight Mass. Perfect for Halloween. Let's say that.
Right.
Perfect for Halloween. Has a priest.
A
has
lot
the
of
Catholic
the networks
Church.
now are going to start showing a lot of the Halloween stuff. For some of us, Halloween is kind of a lifestyle. You just have to, walk into to our homes, and it's pretty much always, But I don't know. I've always loved Halloween. It is my absolute favorite time of the year.
It's Michelle's
I love
Christmas. It's definitely Michelle's Christmas. Yes.
There we go.
It's definitely
exactly
her Christmas.
Yeah, So I don't know. I love it.
I do too, but I watch horror films all year.
No, it's not a Halloween thing, but they just show more of it at Halloween, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Hi, Wes.
Hi, Wes.
Here we go. Gang's all here. Come on, rolling all in. So
they're coming in.
Want to go as a Canadian?
You should wear the flag then. That's all I can say.
Any recommendations? He says. Well,
wear the flag and carry a bottle of maple syrup and a plate of poutine. You'll be good. Poutine. Say I'm sorry a lot. Say I'm sorry a lot. Yeah.
Bacon. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, you guys. I got to tell you, in the States, you got crappy bacon, but yeah,
I don't know. The things that are. 'Tis the things that are Canadian.
There are some things that are just ours, and it's poutine. It's not poutine, but it's okay. We say it too.
If you're French, you say poutine.
You're supposed to. They get really annoyed when you say poutine. They get really annoyed.
That's
it's
more
kind
like
of
English,
Louboutin.
and poutine is French. Hey, MJ. Say A lot. That's
A.
right. There you go, Zach. Say A.
Right. I don't use A, so I don't know. I don't use the word.
I don't either. No.
No, we really don't.
Jersey. A Leafs jersey. I think Canadian would be Montreal Canadian. I'm not saying
Yeah, he's a Canadian fan, so you just made his day, and I hate you for that.
I'm a Habsies. I am a Habsies. The second way you pronounce poutine is right. I'm from Quebec, French from Quebec. That's true. Scare.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but you know what? I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We've had a lot of people saying that they enjoyed the first Q&A. It's just, for us, a Q&A is just like a hangout time. It's a time for us to get to interact with people in the chat room, because when we have guests on, we don't always have the opportunity to get to everyone because that would be very rude and it would take us off topic. And we like to give our guests the absolute most time possible to speak. The show is about them, and we like them to just talk until there's nothing left to say. And if you haven't noticed, they keep coming back because there's always a lot to say. But this is good,
Yeah,
nobody can ever
definitely.
accuse us of not being really good hostesses because we do really make it about our guests. So nights like this, it's just more, about hanging out, having some laughs. As you can see, it's all very laid back. It's not, all stern, and we don't do that kind of interview. We're just very round
No.
table and laid back, and people love it. Our listeners compliment us on it. Our guests compliment us on it. So we must be doing something right. Our listenership is massive. So I think we're on the right track. Hey, David.
Yeah, they're pretty chill. And Zach, nobody would ever say Blue Jays. They just say the Jays. You got to get your vernacular straight. We would never say the Blue Jays. And you know how a tourist, a tourist from a real Canadian, tourists say Toronto. Toronto. Right. Anybody who lives outside of Toronto says Toronto. Anyone from Toronto says it like I do, Toronto. OT at the end. Yes, Toronto. That's a huge giveaway when they enunciate all the T's. I'm like, oh, where are you from? They're like, I'm not from here. Yeah.
I do. I think I know. I know.
I figured that out.
It's true because a lot of people think we also have accents. Toronto. They had Toronto.
Toronto. That's right. But he's right. Hi, Bradley.
No, he's like, hey, Bradley. No, yeah. I love it. I love everybody just chiming in. David. It's great.
Yeah.
All of our friends are chiming in.
I feel like Romper Room, and I see.
I know, we're sounding
David
everything
and
out.
Allison and Bradley. I feel like Romper Room. Am I aging myself?
No, I know. This is great, though. This is great. We've had a few questions come in, some were in comments, some were, via messenger. So we'll get started, and you guys want to just chime in if there's something you want to know. We can talk about that. There was one that came in via email to me actually in the last week, and I thought, you know what? This is something that we deal with pretty regularly, so I figure I would start with that. And that's, I guess we call them amp ups when we, help clear people. Why do things start again? Why do things just start up again? It's first off, it's not like waving a magic wand. You can't just say, demon be gone or ghost be gone, or, especially if it's a mindset thing and it's not much of anything except for maybe, like self-project energy, poltergeist activity, psychokinesis, telekinesis, things like that. That's probably one of the hardest things to get away. Hey, Wayne. That's the hardest thing to get away because you really have to try to work with people as to figuring out what's going on up here that's causing them to keep projecting. So examine what's going on in their lives. But so that's the first thing is it's not a one-shot deal. Now, if it's a human spirit, yes, it's a one-shot deal. You just, you can move them over and that usually fixes the problem. But what if it's not? What if it's not a human spirit? Then what? Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Right? It's true. I mean, I spend a lot of time, working with people. Sometimes it's taken me months, to get people completely clear. And it really doesn't, the only way it started with me, we all start someplace, right? But I learned pretty early on that it had a lot to do with the people themselves, whether they moved into a home that had something, whether it's something that they've carried with them since adolescence or childhood. Sometimes, kids are born to parents who, they like to mess around in the occult, or they did when they were young. And sometimes these attachments really are generational, right? So what do you do? I mean, it takes a lot of digging, and sometimes it takes months and months and months, because if people, don't get what's going on, no, that's right, Bradley. Sage is not always the answer. And there's a technique to that too. Yeah. There is a technique to saging also. But if I can reach people, I found early on, if I could find a way to reach people and make them, put them back in control, empower them, that's, I find, when things started working, where we were able to really get rid of things. Because I can't just move in, and just and be that, hey, you can do it. Like I do try to do that. I've always tried to do that. It's a little bit different now because things are done remotely, and it's just, people seem to get it now. I think maybe it's just because I'm more versed and I explain it differently, But if you can't make a person feel like they're no longer a hostage, then that's never going to change. And there's a lot that's involved with that. If somebody suffers from depression, anxiety, if somebody has addictions, you just sort of put that bullseye on your back. If you're grieving, if you're a really heavy griever, you risk the chance of putting that bullseye on your back, because people who grieve, they want communication with their loved ones so desperately that they will take any type of sign.
I understand that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, because you're still going through it, right? You'll take any sign as, that's my loved one. And unfortunately, it opens doors. I've known really seasoned mediums who have gotten themselves into trouble through grieving. Yeah. No, all right.
I'm not excluded from that.
Anything.
No, I'm not excluded from that. We're all human. Yeah.
That's exactly it. And people take chances, when they go on, certain locations, or they go and, they're trying to help a family. The researcher always takes a risk, one way or another. No, I still today follow your directions on doing things. Aw, thank you. Works every time you help me on lots. Yes, thank you. I do try, but I'm not freaking perfect, man. I came from an attachment myself. That was my adolescent into really early 20s, and I only practice or only preach what I've learned. And that's all you can do. I've been there, so I don't approach it as just a researcher. I approach it as someone who lived it, and it wasn't pleasant at all. It wasn't pleasant. They're not. And everything had to change up here. We didn't have internet back there. I'm just saying. I'm going to age myself a little bit, but we didn't have internet back then. It was
hard to research anything, but it might have been a blessing that we didn't have it, because a lot of people believe anything that they find on the internet, or watch on TV. So maybe it was best that we didn't. You learn from other people. You learn from your own experiences. I mean, everybody needs a Michelle in their life. Yeah. It never goes, it never stops. And I think one thing I want to say, if it's okay, about saging is, a lot of people don't realize it's not just blowing smoke. And I'm putting it that way because it comes off that way so often. And you'll hear people say, oh, I burn sage and I brushed around with a feather. It doesn't work that way. First of all, what a lot of people don't know is that first time that you're cleansing your home, you literally have to open all your drawers and closets and cabinets, and everything has to be open. There is a particular emotion that you move that smoke in a room, like high corner down, and how you swirl it out. Your windows have to be closed, because that all gets expelled later when you're completely done. And it's a ceremonial thing. There's also, different types of prayers involved as well, depending on your faith. So please don't think that you can just light up a stick of sage like a cigarette and just blow it off. It really does not work that way.
It's exactly correct. You usually start off at the lowest point and center of the home. So if you're in an apartment, then you can be right in the middle. Otherwise, go down to the basement, and you do work your way around there. Now, sometimes, it depends on the energy in the home also. A medium can usually pick that up for you, because sometimes the energy will go counterclockwise, go clockwise. And you have to get every nook and cranny. Don't forget the attic. People always forget the dang attic. So get everything, but you leave
under the stairs.
Yeah, the last room that you do should have a little crack in the window, because you have to push that energy out, and then you just close the window. But again, it's not a one-shot deal. It's really important that you put a lot of intention behind the act of the cleansing, strong intention. And it's important that you put a lot of power behind the words that you use. Not everyone is religious, and you don't have to be. But put some bloody power behind there when you say you are not allowed to be here. This is my house. Like, man, back it up. Make them believe it.
Yeah.
Believe it yourself. You have to believe it yourself. Okay? Because if you don't believe it in yourself that you can do it, forget it. And it's not just once here and there. When I help people and I go in, man, you better be diligent. You better be doing it in the morning. You better be doing it at night. And then you do this twice a day until things feel better. Then you can taper off to once every other day, once every third day after a couple weeks. Like, what you don't realize is that this is a way that you are taking control of your space. People need they need something to do to take control. It's not enough to just say, yeah, this is my house. They need to be proactive, and this is a great way to be proactive.
Wes asked, is it possible to buy scentless sage? If it was, I'd have it by the case. I hate the smell of sage, so that's not something I use. But that's not something I use because of it. No.
Cinnamon?
That's what we got to let him know. Yeah.
Cinnamon,
see, that
dragon's
works for
blood, sweetgrass, lemongrass. There's a few different things.
Palo Santo.
As well. There's all kinds.
Yeah.
So there's different things to do. And again, it's intention behind what you're using. And it's also, again, the power behind the words and that intention.
Yeah. I burn Palo Santo in a I have the urn behind me. 1 second. So you can see it. Now, you don't have to be Catholic or to want something like that, but that's where I burn it. And you put the charcoal inside, and it's just like the church. And it comes out the edges. You use the resin and charcoal, and it comes out the edges. And I could walk around with this or leave it in a room that I'm feeling activity in. But that's something just because I'm lazy and I hate the smell of sage. My situation's different because I don't like the smell of sage, and I'm a medium, so I can feel things coming.
Some people, if you don't like the smoke, then get the oil, anoint. You can either use an oil burner, or you can anoint a white candle and just let it burn that way. Put a little bit in the wax, as the wick starts burning, and you'll get the odor that way without the smoke. So there's different ways.
I do it with holy water. That's funny that you said that. I do it with holy water. Yeah.
There you go, right there.
Bradley's got a long one here. I have a great question. I love that. How is the best way to approach folks on getting into locations when there is too much religious people that run the locations, or they don't want to be known? I'm haunted, running into this a lot. I would say that you just can't do it. Yes.
It's really tough. I've been really fortunate over the last 18 plus years to get into locations that were off limits to other people. And I guess,
that's reputation too, though.
It's really been an honor to have, Casa Loma was one of those places. They came to us at the time, and eventually I found out about 3 years in that it had a lot to do with the research that they did. And I was researched heavily. My colleague at the time, was there for the first couple of years. And I was able to stay the full 5 years. And this was from, again, a prestigious sort of good old boys group that ran this at the time. They're not there anymore, And I thought, wow, this was really This was really an honor because that's just, they didn't want to be known for that. For years and years and years, they would always turn people down. People were mailing letters to them saying that they were having haunted experiences, but they were a prestigious organization and they did not want anything to do with it. At the time where they made the move to approach Canada's Most Haunted, they were ready to jump on board. They said, we know it's there. The staff has always had experiences. We have guests coming in from all over the world who have experiences. We don't want to minimize their experiences, and we want it done tastefully. When it comes to religion, that makes it really difficult. But religion itself, is littered with paranormal. It just is, and I mean, even ufology to a degree. If you think back with who's the very first, person, I always say, who's the very first abductee? Freaking Enoch.
Let's go way
He's the master abductee man. It's like, but they do talk about ghosts and they do talk about abductions and even Ezekiel, just off he goes, and brought back, time travel. Like, it's all there. I think if people just relax and realize that the paranormal is not all, it's not all what you see on television. I think if you do it with taste and integrity and you explain that you really want to talk about, the history and the location, they might sort of say, well, you can come and do that. But that's a place to start. I mean, my gosh, I had the city of Toronto sending me to old folks' homes. I would have old folks' homes message me and say, can you come and do a talk for some of our elderly people? And I would be
they're
just
still
like,
interested. They've had a life too, right? They're just
that's what I mean. But
yeah.
Elderly people, I love them because some of them are right open and they'll say, oh, heck, this happened and this and this and this. Then you have the more reserved elderly people who pull you aside after the talk and say, well, I have a story. I learned more about the city of Burlington going to some of these retirement homes and communities. I would be just like, this is awesome. And we incorporated that into the ghost tour at the time. So it's not going to be easy, but I think this is why you just have to prove yourself. And as they realize, you get a lot of references for some of the other places that you've done, and that would probably help at least get the foot in the door, right? Hey, Wayne Murphy, hello.
Hi, Wayne.
Caroline,
Sometimes
Bradley.
I believe as well, Brad, what it is you've started this fairly recently, right? And you just got to build it up, like Michelle said, with your references. Also, I think it's the times that we're in. Nobody wants something else going on right now. A lot of people are closed down as to who they'll permit in. So it could be a possibility with that as well.
Right. But, it's true.
Yeah. And sometimes when it's someone who is very religious, if it goes against their beliefs, they're not going to let you in.
No, this is true.
I know there's really a lot of churches that don't allow things like that. Maybe I'll go to church and give a sermon. That might work.
Go. That's so
you do the homily. Do the homily for the priest. See how that works out for you. Let us know. We'll do a show on that. True.
Exactly. Yeah. Now Zach's got a really long comment. Do you want to?
He does. He was. I'm gonna paraphrase it because I read it. He's talking about when he had the negative entity in his life that it would be everywhere, but his living room was calm. That one and and then I'll read the next one's completely different. That is easily explained because sometimes where this spirit was before, if they were in your, let's say your land or your home, it could have been built differently. So they're frequenting different areas that were familiar to them in their time. And that could be why a room is completely avoided. Now, if it's negative, that's another story. It could be because of something that's in that room. So it all depends on that question. Zach, was there any did you have any relics in that room that would keep them out? I believe shows like Ghost Adventures have done more harm to the paranormal investigation community than good. That comment was for Zach Powers. That was not for me.
Chat room comment.
That's a chat room comment. If you're listening, Mr. Vegas, that's not me.
Yeah, here's the thing with television, because I've been doing TV and media for a long, long time. And I've always done my best to project and, again, try to have as much integrity as possible, give good information. I've had, thousands of emails over the years of people saying, thank you for explaining it in English. We actually understand it. It's like, okay, well, at least I can explain it properly. But at the end of the day, in my case, there was no creative control. So if I'm sitting down and they give me a question and I can give them 5 different answers, you've heard me say this a million times, I could give 5 different answers. There's only the one that they're going to go with. And that's the one that's going to have the biggest impact on the audience, that fear factor, because I actually don't run around screaming demon, believe it or not. I actually am pretty logical, and I will try to debunk everything first. And if I come up blank, I'm like, yay. And all that means to me, though, is I can research this further. It doesn't mean to me 100% that this is this or this is that, but there are a lot of factors, and no creative control means you don't really have a whole lot of say. I've just been fortunate enough that my producers have liked me enough to bring me on repeatedly. And some of those producers and even people above, the people who supply the money to these production companies, have been fans enough to make sure I get called on other shows. So I've been lucky that way. When you're looking at a production like Ghost Adventures, it did not start out with him having creative control, even though it was his brainchild. I look at him as an amazing entrepreneur. The guy's just got it
smart
together,
businessman,
business-wise.
very smart
My goodness.
businessman.
But that's what this is. This is also a business, and they're going for the fear factor. Unfortunately, there's again, what people don't realize, every show has a gimmick. Theirs was the lockdown. You had Paranormal State, that was university kids. You had Ghost Hunters, that was the debunk. Like it all sort of goes into, they all have their gimmick, but I mean, he brought a lot to the forefront, just like Most Haunted. People would get really, think, oh my God, this girl's just running around screaming. And, I loved her personally. Just like, she was just awesome. But not everybody felt that way. But where things go wrong is people believe that this is really what happens on an investigation. It doesn't happen like that.
Chat room.
Yeah, it doesn't happen like that. You could be someplace, I've done investigating, and sometimes the most exciting freaking thing going on is my coffee. That's it. That's the way it goes.
Well, Bradley makes a really good point. I have talked to Aaron, as he told me, producers will control a lot of the investigation. They had them investigate a location 4 times to get something for evidence. He said it was really a thing. We hear that from a lot of people who've actually been on the show and have been on our show and have been on that show. That's just business. That's Hollywood. You can't take anything you see, including the news media, for truth
creative
anymore.
Control. But the producer, this is the funny part, is the producer is Zach Bacons
right now.
I mean, they have it. Well, yeah, even for, it's been quite a while. There are quite a few.
But there's a team, isn't there? Of producers?
There is, but it was still, if you, all you have to do is look at the credits. It'll say right in the end who the producers are. His name's always been up there. So there's a degree.
I don't watch the show,
but good business tells you. If they didn't give you that fear factor,
from Discovery,
people wouldn't watch. Well, there's going to be.
Absolutely, it's entertainment first. You have to understand that it's entertainment first, and I'm pretty sure they have that in the credits where they say this is strictly for entertainment. Don't try this at home, because so many things have happened. So it is entertainment. Take it as that. If you want to learn about that kind of stuff, you should look through historically who's been an incredible, what's that word? Someone who started like Tesla. Look at him. Look at the old school spiritualism of the Victorian era. Look that way if you want to learn things and you want to see things for the truth. Don't look for it on television. They have great stories, and like I said, they're entertaining. Yeah,
it is. But again, they brought stuff to the forefront, and I think people take it very seriously, though. And I think if you take it with a grain of salt, I always say you've got your couch investigators, and I've seen a lot of people on investigations, or I have fixed a lot of cases over the years from people who have gone in to investigate. It's not like, there's a lot of, not really any major prerequisites for people just going out and investigating. I think there should be more of it to go into somebody's home and take a family who's entrusting themselves to you and buggering it up, because we're not doctors, we're not psychiatrists, we're not any of that. Hardcore cases, those are the things that I will typically ask for if it's my personal case. I consult on a lot of cases, and I've worked with some researchers where it's like, I just sit there and I make it about the people. The whole freaking house can come down around me. I'm not going to give in to whatever it is that's trying to take my attention from the most important aspect of the entire investigation, or at least it should be. And that is the family. It shouldn't be anything else.
Yeah.
And that's where people go wrong. Now, if you want to just have a good old time and investigate, then go to a public place, investigate it. There are a lot of places.
Not somewhere where someone goes into work the next day. Somewhere where it's abandoned. Like there aren't people that are working there, because that's not fair. If you stir something up and someone goes into work next day and all of a sudden their cubicle's haunted.
Chairs moving around.
Though you see that kind of stuff, right? You see those types of videos and,
It happens, but I mean, there are some places that are haunted also, and you work there. So, you're going in and you're trying to help. And, oh, hey, Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
Thank you. But, there's just, I don't think there's a lot of aspects of this industry, but like many industries where there isn't integrity or care. There's just like, what can I get for the evidence? I want to be famous. The list goes on. I've been fortunate. I've never had to seek out media. It came to me, and I thought to myself, you know what? I always looked at it as, ha ha ha. No, I didn't. I looked at it as like, wow, I must be doing something right, and thank you. But it's the people who follow me that I thank, that I'm grateful for. Because it just tells me that I must be on the right track, So,
love you, Sherry.
Yeah.
Worry about you. I'm not going to lie.
So,
when I don't hear, I always ask.
I was to build a cleansing kit. What would I put into a cleansing kit? Oh my gosh. This is the things that I mentioned. A cleansing kit, you would want white candles, you would want, and any candle made out of, see, that's what people don't like, the sage. You can get sage candles, cedar sage, cedar's good, dragon's blood, again, lemongrass, you could get cinnamon. I got my cinnamon from, I ordered it organically, cinnamon oil. I use a lot of oils. It came from some place in Massachusetts. My sage actually came from Crete. My cedar came from a place near Russia. So I ordered all my stuff. So it's all preferably like hand pressed. And so it's organic. So there's no preservatives or anything in there. My dragon's blood came from Asia, and I think you don't have to get fancy with it, but I just find when you order it in bulk, you get more bang for your buck. I said that these little vials that we get on this side of the world that are this big for $8, it's like,
I know, but if you're really stuck, you could
then
go
you do
into
it.
a shop. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, everything's online. You can order like anything. That's in my personal kit.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Michelle, are you still
shut
entertaining the idea of writing a book with your friend?
Shut up, Wayne.
Do you have someone in mind?
Yeah, no. I've been asked that question a lot of times. Writing a book on my personal experience. Who even has time? I have no time to write books.
Still living it. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh.
I know.
Have you heard our phone calls? Still living it.
I know.
I think the big thing with sage is because they see it on TV, they think that's their only way out. So I'm glad that was brought up so that you could get that information out to a lot of people like myself who can't stand the smell of it, which is why I use
Thank you,
Palo
Zach.
Santo, because Michelle's the one who said to me, you don't need to use sage.
No.
And then another one that came up this week, there's a couple of them. One that came up this week, ORPS is a very sensitive subject in this field. Like
Orbs can be.
It can be
Yeah.
so sensitive.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that what's happening are not orbs for anybody. I'm not saying that you're not seeing them because I don't know. I'm not looking at what you're looking at. I can't say that unless I see something. And even then I question myself and everything around me. So many aspects to what would create that. So many possibilities. And I think with the video footage is like that we've been seeing, and a lot of people have video cameras for their babies. So this is a place where they think, oh, my past loved one passed away and all these orbs are them. If you're in a place in a room with carpet, forced air, and a child usually wears cotton, chances are that's what that is dust. It's really rare that you see those big groups of the dust is just. And usually when it's going down and up, it's usually dust. There's the way they move, and orbs will move in different directions often when they're letting you know. And sometimes you can even see a face in an orb. Sometimes
Different colors, and
you'll see different colors. I've been able to see a few of them,
dust,
not personally,
pollen, moisture.
Oh, pollen outside. When people say that it's not raining,
pollen,
I go, no,
moisture,
but your
pet
bushes
dander.
are moving. The pollen is going up outside, time of year.
Dander. I've had people through the years just send me photos, they're out camping and like, oh my God, I can never go there again. Okay, Brian, I may take you up on that. I need a ghostwriter, maybe. Yes, I hear I'm quite a wordsmith. I'm not that patient. So, but yeah,
your best friend is.
People just think
Not
that,
me.
I'm under attack. I'm just like, I promise you're not. You can go back there and have a wonderful time with your family. It's all good. But, I just had this conversation with a friend recently, even about the differences in investigating outdoors compared to indoors. You really do have to factor in that some equipment is not going to work really great outside, like, again, because of it's not a controlled environment. So, I mean, anybody on this list tonight that I'm seeing a lot of paranormal friends here in the chat, and we usually are all seasoned enough to know, because I know everyone, that your EMF is going to act a little bit different, if you're in some types of outdoor environments, if you have a lot of quartz under the ground or in the rock, if you have a lot of limestone running water underneath, if you're in a forest or a cave or something like that, or you're going, hello, Renee, and then
Hi.
you're going to take pictures, you're going to have a lot of moisture or pollen that's not going to give you a true orb if you're looking for that. Or if you have a mist coming in because it's cooler and it's damp, that's not always spirit mist. EMF detectors, they're going to react a little bit differently. Some people would just take a compass. Just take a compass. That's nicknamed the poor man's EMF. Just take a little compass, go put it on a large rock and watch it start to go. It's the same idea. It's a lot easier to investigate a controlled setting than it is to go out. I mean, even when we did the haunted forest in Romania, there was only so much we could do. Right off the bat, we knew, okay, some things are just not going to work here at all. You can do recordings, you can do, video, things like that. You could take pictures. You just have to take a lot of it with a grain of salt, So that's the way it is too, entirely. It's like comparing apples to oranges in a lot of ways. So, I don't know, call me crazy. Anybody chiming in? Anybody agree? Disagree? Give me your thoughts. investigator friends. Wes, Bradley, come on. Yeah. Renee, come on. Yeah. It was awesome. It scared me to death. Oh,
Oh, nah. Another
loved it.
one that came in was shadows, which
Mm.
we do see often.
Shadows are, shadows are really another one of those controversial things. You look at, we've had Mike Rixiger on here on the show a couple of times, and he's got whole bunch of research on shadows. I highly recommend you guys seek him out if you really want to learn in depth about shadow beings. For me, I've never been in the good one. So that's all I can tell you. Mike Rixiger's got many other experiences, and he's just like, sometimes they're just people. I know
He's
here
an
in the house.
anomaly with that, though.
Yeah.
That's an anomaly in that with
Here in the house, we actually caught one that was more of a white type of shadow being. Like, it wasn't fully dark, I mean, and then we've had the dark ones, like where things are like darker than dark, you see them at night, things like that. Some believe shadow people are actually travelers, dimensional, which is why you're just catching
I could understand that.
that part of the essence. Yeah.
Yeah.
But most people who have, I mean, you have to understand the type of cases I've always worked have been more malevolent ones. So obviously, when I come across something throughout like all these years, it's never been good, because whatever's there is usually pretty hostile. So, Brian, you can email me and I will be
Mike,
happy to turn you
yeah.
on to him.
Yeah.
I
Mike
will happily.
Rixiger.
Yeah, I'll connect
Yeah.
you guys up, Brian. Yeah.
Renee made a good point. I usually take offerings when doing an outside investigation. That is a really good idea. And again, that becomes from,
You're welcome.
researching your area as well.
No, it's true. It's true. A top hat shadow man. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the worst for me. I'm just gonna put it out there. I never get good feelings
Bubba
from
doesn't
them.
like them.
Now, the minute I
No.
see them, I always look for something else. I find that those are never alone. They're usually, like the leader of the pack, and there's always other shadow persons around, if not other types of
That's
entities
true.
around with them. They seem to be, that hat is for a reason. I know it's not just intimidation. I feel like it's almost a rank of some sorts.
Yeah, it might
they
be.
creep me out. I don't like it, but
Right.
I don't stand down from it either, but I don't like them. It's not pleasant to see something like that.
I think it's like anything, some people work well with them, and I think, Brian, you'll find Mike really interesting. Like, he's just done a boatload of research and really concentrated on them.
It makes you
But
rethink your theory.
Yeah, some people do really well, with certain entities, and other people not at all. I've seen shadows move around here, just like, okay, didn't really give it much of a thought. Then you start seeing, things going array, and it's like, all right, so maybe not so kind. But back then, the house was a little bit more infested. Now we just keep it very clear, and it's only down to the spirit family who resided here, who we share space with, and they're all ascended. They're not grounded, and sometimes they come in and out. But what used to be interesting about here, which I'm sure Wayne will also attest to, is that the house would go very, very quiet, in certain times of the year, the winter months. And he had always assumed that they were just going to their summer home, because they did have a few homes. But, when there was something malevolent in the house, they tend to chase out, or, spirits tend to be fearful of them, and they won't come in to the space if they have the choice. Sometimes they sort of get trapped, but it started making sense after a while, because I'll tell you, since I cleared that, this is probably going about 4 or 5 years ago now, the family would stay, and the lady of the house would stay. She's here like all the time now. So we, that we pieced that together, and it was just like, okay, that's what the situation was, obviously. So, You know, his hat was ugly. I got a
I
rock
wouldn't
thrown. There we go.
recommend that.
I hate your hat, man.
Taunting them isn't something that I would do, but
Yeah,
hey,
see,
whatever works for you.
there's something else, all my investigator friends here in chat. We're going to ask you a question. What do you guys think about taunting or, you know, putting out those commands to spirits? I command you to do this.
I just gave my answer, and Bradley, you clearly gave yours with that one. But I can tell you that when you are researching anything or studying something, like when I was first doing my course in demonology with Bishop James, and we would have conversations and things like that, and he would say to me, you know, Amelia, don't freak out, you might start seeing things. He wasn't exaggerating. That's when I saw the most shadows in my presence ever. You know, not remotely, like dead set in front of me, climbing up the walls, going this way and this way and this way. Like, it was just where I had to keep putting it down and putting it down. And I thought, wow, I just can't do this. This isn't for me. But now looking back, I realize it was their way of making sure I didn't, because I can and I do. So I understand that. You have to know that when you're researching something like that, you are going to have experiences because they're well aware of you trying to learn about them. Just like I heard that if you research ET, all of a sudden things happen as well. Zach wrote, I'm not an investigator, but I wouldn't taunt or give commands. I would see them like they were still living people. If I don't like someone talking to me like that, it would be disrespectful. That's totally true. Now, what would you do if it was a dark entity? Just curious if you would use the same method.
I'm very
just curious.
unorthodox.
There's two ways. There's two ways, right?
I'm unorthodox.
There's two types. Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. I'm just waiting my turn. I've always been a little bit unorthodox in how I've approached things like that, and where something will turn around and growl at me. For instance, I would turn around and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, having a bad day. It's terrible." You know, I mean, there've been recordings of this, and people, it's like, why do you do that? And I'm just like, you know what? I was always raised to be respectful, and I was always told, because I mean, we have come from a line of mediums. Like I was sort of brought up around thinking, not fearing the dead. You know, I think somebody forgot to throw in the entities in there though, but you know, but I think with that, it's just I was always told to not. It's not that you don't fear, because of course you do fear, but it's to try to not show it. And I guess that was more my way of just not showing it. And I do stand my ground, and I'm not fearful. I'm less fearful in my life now. You know, I learned the hard way, even in my early years of investigating, you know, having my family infiltrated and things like that. So I learned, like, I had to humble myself. Not that I was really, I was never really cocky per se, but I was just sort of like meh. And you can't just be meh. You have to really be on your guard all the time, because I thought, oh, I do things properly, and they're not getting to me. And I learned the hard way that they could definitely attach to those around me. So you get humbled pretty quick when it happens, and you really do change the way you do things quick.
Definitely. Okay, I've got to go backwards here. Zach said, if it was a dark entity, I would ask for a higher power to intervene. That has helped me before in my experiences dealing with negative spirits. Well done. Sherry asks, how do you guys protect yourselves when working on a case like mine?
Grounding.
Wow.
Grounding is a big one, because it just makes it a little bit harder for them to attach. And again, mindset. You have to understand, if you are in an environment that entices them and feeds them, and that would be things like fear, arguing, negative energy, They'll amp that up too, by the way. They will definitely amp that up, but they can also create all of that. So if you're anything that would be deemed a more of a negative emotion, even, and not like sadness is a
Hi,
negative
Lexi
thing,
Rose.
but
Yeah.
sadness will. Hey, Lexi Rose. But sadness, grief, anxiety, having emotional outbursts, depression, things that just keep your vibrations low, is enough for them to come in and feed off of that. So they need to amplify that energy to keep the food going, so to speak.
Yeah,
Like when
of
I work with
course.
people, Bradley, you do listen to me. Grounding, hug a tree. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that you have to raise your vibrations. I work with people, even working with frequencies, frequencies and changing frequencies, because they do different things for your spirit, for your physical being, and I mean, honestly, it works. And I've had people say, oh my gosh, people who really pay attention and do it have almost reported like overnight having a completely different feeling, and they stick to it. And that's the point. You have to stick to it, because they will give you a false sense of security. They'll make you feel like everything's gone. Then you let down your guard and they'll bang. Then next thing you know, they're there, and they'll come at you pretty hard. Or
Like a bully,
they're,
just like a
yeah,
bully.
or they'll go the other way. You're fighting for your space and they amp up to try to get you to back off. You have to be really consistent.
I
That's
think
that. So keep your vibes high.
with Sherry, without giving too much away, I mean, she was on our show. You should really search
Yeah.
that archive, because she has a phenomenal,
Mhm.
I don't even want to say
Amazing
but her
story.
whole life has been an
Yep.
extreme experience.
Mhm.
And when we first started at your other location, it was a whole different form of preparation for me than where you are now. And you know why. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
leave it there. But it was a whole different other preparation. And I can't tell you how many different faiths I exhausted researching and different ways to prepare to make sure that I was in tune and in line with Michelle, and
And
I was strong enough to be there as well. It depends on where you're going with
but you
that.
also have to look at environmental also
Yeah.
in cases, because in her case there were ley lines that crossed.
Yeah.
And I really worked, and learned with an elderly gentleman who knew how to work with ley lines. And I consulted. See, no matter how much always, if you don't know everything, don't ever be afraid to reach out to other people. I've been
No.
doing this 18 years, and I'm a rookie compared to someone who's been doing it like John Zaffis for 30 or 40 years. Like there's always somebody else you can reach out to. And this man is not a paranormal investigator. He just does amazing planetary work. And he was able to teach me how to just shift things around a little bit and
Yeah.
work with that energy. And that was the groundbreaker. That actually, it was a game changer completely.
But
From
she
that
asked
point on.
about protection. Like, what do you do to protect
Protection,
yourself?
yeah.
For me, it was a different thing than what Michelle does, right? We work differently. But as a medium, if you're going into a home that is, if you're doing it remotely, especially, you have to have protection of your own. You have to set that up before you go in. And I will say this 1,000 times. I know a lot of investigators, not just mediums and psychics, that do this. They leave a location and they just walk out. That's a big no-no. You definitely have to shake everything off, and you definitely have to do some kind of closing before you leave, and never invite anything to go home with you. You guys know that. You know that.
Well, sometimes it's not always an invitation. Sometimes you just leave that door open by whether it's an action, whether it's, believe me, when I say mindset, it doesn't take much. They don't need much to do it. And
I've seen
you go in there having a bad day. It's like Renee said. They know when you're coming. They know why, but they also know everything about you.
Yeah.
On an average.
Yeah.
Depending on with negative beings and stuff like that. Like, don't think you're going in there and you're going to have any secrets. You're not.
I've seen investigators on TV believe that they were speaking to a child spirit and invite them home. That's what I mean by you know better than that. You never know what the entity is unless you have a medium that's there or you're a medium. You're not going to know if that's a small child or if that's a mimic.
Let's pull this in a different direction while we're on that then. So, what do you guys do again as researchers? I'm interested to see what everybody's views are. There's a lot of places out there that will publicly, like they're open, they're public. The places are haunted. They allow people to come in and research. There are other places that, are maybe abandoned. There's this, wandering spirits. Let's face it, they're pretty much everywhere. Okay. Now, what do you do if you come across, let's say you have a child? Now, child could be a mimic. That's what we were just talking about. So you could be being fooled here. You don't really know for sure. I mean, I've seen really seasoned mediums, through the years get fooled, but let's just hypothetically say, there's something there. I've investigated places where there were malevolent energies holding families, like spirit families, hostage. And, there were little children. What do you do? You want to, what's more important? You want to get the evidence, or do you try to move those spirits over? Because then let's say you get into trouble, something follows you back. I'm an advocate for move them on, just move them on, man. It's just, if it was your child, what would you do? Would you leave them? Of course not. How would you feel if it was your child that people were investigating and nobody wanted to try to move them on and they were stuck? I don't know. It's just,
I don't agree with leaving anything behind. Sherry makes a really good point. It doesn't help, as they know, to follow and jumps others to attach. Yes, I totally agree. When I said where you were before and where you are now are different, meaning that the situation in your land was completely different and what was on it was very different. That's what I never meant to say that you don't have any experience or they haven't followed. We're well aware of that still happens, and people need to know that sometimes they do attach and they do follow, depending if that's the T spirit also. But where you lived, your whole the land there was a whole other entity in itself. Amy Lynn says, I did a clearing of a place once. This guy had been possessed, and my spiritual teacher sent me energy, and I manipulate the energy as I go in with protection, my team, and walk with absolute no fear. Very good. What I had done once is put one inside me and sent it down in the ground. Is that even correct to do?
I don't believe personally that it's ever safe. It's a form of possession. If you're bringing something inside of you, it is a form of possession. It's a big chance that you take. I've seen some good mediums get in real trouble with that, but not everybody. Some people could do it without any problems, but that's a really big chance. I would not personally put myself in that position.
No, because you have no control once you let them in. I have strong, powerful, pure energy, like pure love that walks with me, and that helps me. It does definitely help you, but when you allow it in, that's an invitation. So you're in a whole other. Yes, I was just opened up. I didn't know until I felt it. Okay, you didn't mean to. Okay, that's a different story. That happens. Step-ins happen to a lot of people on investigations. Sometimes you're aware of it, sometimes not until later.
I've had to pull energies out of some of my team members.
Yeah, that's what attachments are.
No, exactly.
Brian says, would there be any way to determine whether a childlike entity is mimicking changeling? Oh, sorry. A what? I can't see that. Myling, changeling, or a mimic?
There is no real way to. I mean, there's standard things to look for when you're dealing with a malevolent, let's say a mimic, changeling, things like that. It's a matter of sometimes a certain odors. You'll get things like
let's see,
sulfur, rotten eggs, rotting flesh. You'll get a lot of, but again, when you start getting into things like scratching on the walls or rapping, or that could be poltergeist activity also. It's it's really difficult. It could be, it could be extraterrestrial activity because some of them smell the same way. So, nowadays it makes it really, really hard to say for sure. Okay, for sure. Again, if you're gifted, you'll know right away. I have basically, that's the only type of cases I've ever worked. I don't usually do really benign things unless it's for friends, or family, obviously. So you just learn what is.
Oh,
You just know what they are. You just do. You just know.
Sherry said, beautiful smell of roses every time you guys cleared me. I'm so happy.
No, but I don't know. The mimic is really tough. I've some of the worst infestations that have happened have come from people who believed that they were dealing with children. I myself have worked different cases where they always go for the children, where they'll approach a child as another child and they want that invitation to come in. Can I come and play? Can I come and play with you? I miss you. Can I come? And the child go, okay. And next thing you know, that invitation is made and they don't care where it comes from. And next thing you know, all hell breaks. It just breaks loose.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to, God, those cases are hard because I have to deal with a little child. So how do I get them to rescind the invitation? How do you do that without frightening them? Well, in one specific case, the method I chose to do was use the child mentality. And I went to the child with the mother beside me and looked at the little boy and said, did you ask your mommy? Because he was only 4. Did you ask your mommy if your friend could come and stay here? And he goes, no, because the friend didn't want that. And I'm just like, well, his mommy wants him home. What are you going to do now? You need permission. You better get home right now. You better not stay here, blah, blah, blah.
There goes intent. Yeah.
It's all. And then, so that invitation was rescinded. It made my job a little bit easier in being able to finish clearing that house. So, and you look at this place, it looked like a benign little townhouse in an upscale area of Burlington. And I got some of the best recordings that I'd ever gotten out of that house. Just, I won't even say they weren't residual. It was like phantom sounds, like something was picking up the voice recorder and playing with it. And you could hear it being set back down and chains being dragged across a wooden floor, but it was on carpet, sitting on an old squeaky bed, and there was nothing there. It just had some of the most amazing voice recordings. And it took about 10 months to clear it completely. But it cleared. To this day, they're clear.
Lexi Rose, that sounds great. That's not a problem. Just message me and I'll get to you as soon as I can. She's been talking to me about a recurring dream. Okay, Sherry says, cleansing on your own when you might not know what you're doing can make things worse. And Sherry is a medium, so she knows her stuff. And yeah, definitely.
I agree 100%. Sometimes you don't have the choice, but now, and again, people will lean to the internet and it's not all accurate, unfortunately. And it's different for everyone. You could have one situation. You could have every house on the block going through the exact same thing, but because you yourself are different, your energy is different, how you're feeling emotionally, everything that's going on in your life, everything is different. Therefore, it will be different.
I think if you have a really bad haunting, you have to look at it in a different perspective. Like if I needed surgery and I needed my gallbladder removed, would I be doing that myself? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing, all of us can brush our teeth, but not everybody can do dental work. It's the same kind of thing. And sometimes you're too close to it and you don't see things, right? Like, it's not like I don't clear my own house. Michelle works with me on that. I wouldn't do it on my own unless I had no choice. And even then I would let her know that, hey, I did this. I need you to check if you don't mind, because it's always good to have someone
backup.
else. Oh my gosh, especially when it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it's dark. If it's a spirit, it takes nothing for me to move them along. Most mediums can do that, but when it's a dark entity, it's another story. You need someone who has the experience like Michelle does, and the knowledge, and you can't do that stuff on your own. It's best to have someone help you,
And
someone who's got your back.
And in saying that, this is where it gets touchy. Do you pay for something like that?
Oof.
No. Now, you could pay expenses. You can pay for the supplies that are being used, you know. But do you pay for the service of doing that? No. I worked with an individual one time who charged. I was very green, and I was kind of like, I don't think you're supposed to do that. Let me tell you what, that was the last freaking time, because I was about lost my freaking mind over that one. You don't do that. You just don't do that. It's bad karma. And I don't think it works. And there's a lot of charlatans out there. Clean up a lot of those messes too. Let me tell you what.
Oh my gosh. Amy, you need to ground. She asks, the third eye, is there a way to block? Because she works in an old folks home. You need to ground your energy.
That will help a lot. It just makes it a lot easier.
Nothing will penetrate you.
No, and you work with reflections and things like that. Energy, it's really quite easy. Once you master it, it's really easy, because a lot of energy comes at you, you know, and you project out a lot of energy also. So it's like a win-win that way, you know. I'm trying to ground. Oh,
you just need to take deep breaths and just visualize it. It takes practice. You have
Sherry
to think
should
of
have
it.
a good grounding techniques. I would have sent it to her. Have her send it to you.
No fee will determine the real deal.
Yeah,
Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Thomas. I agree. I agree. You know, people struggle. You know, not everybody can afford, you know, things like that. And I'll tell you something. To ask a family, I mean, some people can barely. Let me just back up. I've had people say to me, "I'm on a pension. I can't afford this," and I'm like, "That's okay, because it doesn't cost anything." You know, or, you know, quoted astronomical amounts of money. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, how are people supposed to afford that? Like 5,000, 10,000,
oh my God,
1,500. Like,
and it costs
no
what,
guarantee.
$50 in gas to get back and forth.
Yeah, but there's not even a guarantee that you can get rid of it. There's the kicker. So is that per shot, or what is that exactly?
I don't like the whole gas expense thing either. Just find a team that's closer to you. Sorry. Sherry said 7 teams.
Not everyone has that.
No,
that privilege,
I know. So. 7 teams bolted, literally ran down the driveway. You, Michelle, and Amelia, after 14 years, daily attacks were the only ones to firstly identify what they were and secondly blast them away. Oh, wow. Thank you.
I knew from the second we were talking.
Oh,
I know.
I remember that phone call. Never mind.
I started working with Sherry just before you actually came on board.
Exactly. And you have no idea, Sherry, how fearful I was, because that was a first for me. And I was so worried that we couldn't give you peace. Like, I was so scared that there would be something that I did that, you know, I was so afraid for your safety.
I had no doubt that we would.
Yeah. I had a lot of fear because I wasn't used to working that kind of work then. I was just starting out on that darker side. Not that I wasn't working with spirits and energy, but that kind of energy was completely different. My fear for you when you were there, all I kept saying to Michelle was, can she move? Yeah.
It helped. Yeah. We should do a station ID and stuff while we're here.
Absolutely. We are there. We're at 26 after. I need to take these up. These are glass and they weigh heavily on me. But anyways, nose indents. Can somebody tell me where you get your reading glasses that don't have any weight? Right now, you are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, and we are your guests tonight. We're doing a question and answer as per your request, and we're having a lot of fun doing it too. Seems that our chat room is full of friends who are investigators themselves, so we're having a great night. So if you're tuning in and you missed the first part, just hit the archives after the show, about 10 minutes after show ends, and you'll be able to catch the whole show. We are live from the beautiful city of New Orleans, and we are streaming for you on UFO Paranormal Radio. I believe we're on International Public Radio as well. This is UPRN Talk Radio Network, and we are fully sponsored tonight and every single night from the amazing people at Folgers Coffee. Thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you, Folgers.
And thank you, Justin Snick, for that
That's
amazing
right.
intro and
Thank you,
outro.
Justin. My God, that
That's
thing rocks.
right. I know.
It rocks.
There we go. So, and yes, Bradley, there are people who contact and they want help and they back down. And I believe the reason that happens is more so if they are in a really bad situation, maybe with an oppressive energy, or, interdimensional being or demonic being, whatever the case may be. A lot of times they back off because they're fearful. Maybe when you contacting you may have caused things to amp up in the house, at which point it would scare them. They would back down. That's usually the main cause, is they're afraid to stir things up. They're afraid that things will get worse by bringing someone in. So sometimes, I've had people go completely silent, and I will usually wait a little bit and then I'll message them again when whatever is in the house doesn't know it's coming. And that way, they get a surprise email from me, and then they usually be able to react and message back, and then we get the ball rolling.
Yeah. It can be really hard as an empath to work on cases like that too. It can be really hard. That's why the grounding's so important, Amy. Really, really important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a good technique. I've used it and it worked amazing for me. And it's something that I send out for years, that I've sent out to people that I've worked with and friends and family. And, I would never put it out there if I didn't myself use it and think that it was a really good technique. And so far it's proving to do the job. So
yeah, and I do it several times a day. I don't just do it before work or before anything. I do it several times a day. If it crosses my mind, if grounding crosses my mind, I know that I'm being told I need to, and I just do it. And when you practice it enough, you can get it done pretty quickly, and it just comes naturally, the strength, all of it. So keep at it for sure. Sherry wrote, physical time is not a limitation for them.
Oh no, she's messaged me at like 2 a.m. It's like,
oh,
just go in like,
she's meaning
bam.
us or the entities?
No, both.
Yeah, no,
both. I don't know, man.
No,
I
hauntings do not happen between 9 and 5.
No, it's all the time. It's all the time, 24/7. Time is completely irrelevant. Time actually is irrelevant. The only thing that makes time something, we are hostage to a clock. That is the only thing that makes time real. Just so y'all know. I got the whole Bay of Fun Day for grounding. There you go. You're lucky. It's beautiful out there. Aliens, though.
Kind of creepy too, though. Bradley, I'm just saying.
Aliens.
It's a little creepy. Aliens. If you would like, please include Michelle in my story. I have to get to bed, but you ladies are wonderful. Oh, I love you, Lexi Rose. Yeah, no problem. We'll do. Sleep well. Hugs from Indiana. Sherry writes, yes, I did middle of the night, and you were there. Most devoted Michelle. She is. She has her phone on.
I do. I don't. Sometimes it's funny because if something doesn't want someone getting a hold of me, it won't even vibrate. No. I always say I've always said to my family, especially my kids, it's like, don't text me, just call. Because otherwise, even then, it's silent. It's not a thing. If they don't want you contacting anybody or reaching out, it will not happen. And good night, Brian.
Well, good night,
I'll
Brian.
be in touch, Brian. I'll message you. I will message you that information.
He's really, really different. You're going to enjoy that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that investigators, different techniques. You can stir things up, you can cause things to happen. And there are those that can really make a difference. And I
You
think
can take things home,
you
create
can.
a whole other case in your own house, or
Mm-hmm.
pass it along to someone else. They jump.
Mm-hmm.
There's
I
so
agree.
many things that are so scary with stuff like that. Yeah.
But let's just switch gears for a little bit, because there are some people out there. I said, oh yeah, Sherry. They were very angry the very first night. They said, "F Michelle."
Yeah.
Bastards. Anyway,
where are they now?
I know,
Just
right?
saying, where are they now?
Right. Yeah, screw you guys. There are some people who don't believe in angels. They don't believe in demons. They don't believe in anything like that. They believe that everything is extraterrestrial. What are your thoughts on that? Everything is extraterrestrial. That would mean demonic could possibly be archons, draconians, reptilians. Angels would be Pleiadians, maybe tall whites, tall grays. I don't know.
Dr. Snick,
Any thoughts?
Sonic Surgeon. Love that name.
See, Dr. Snick thinks it's a pumpkin.
Sonic Surgeon thinks it's Halloween.
I like
Halloween.
it.
I
No,
don't know.
it's true.
What do you think? Like, I don't know what to think, because I haven't seen any evidence to prove that they are the same thing. So it's kind of hard for me to just put it into one group.
I know, but there are some
I don't
people.
know.
There are
No
some
way
people
angels
who
have no competition from Thomas. I'm with Thomas on that
Okay.
one.
Well, okay. Here's a curiosity then, because I think if you grow up, with Roman Catholic or really in a staunch religion, you're taught it pretty much from birth.
Yeah.
But there are some people who have had experiences that are profound extraterrestrial experiences, and they see these beautiful beings of light who offer messages of hope. Somewhere along the lines, is it interpretation? I mean, you look at the first, like the Old Testament and a little bit of the, the New Testament. I mean,
Zach
it's
disagrees
in
as well.
there. Yeah.
I'm with them
Yeah,
because
I
I've
don't know.
seen angels
The
as
experiences
angels.
are all in there.
Yeah,
Are angels extraterrestrials? Okay, let's kick it up a different notch, because while Amelia's on that topic, are they extraterrestrial of sorts?
I don't know about that, but I don't believe that they are all aliens. I feel like they're just different because I see them differently. My work is different, and that's why when I walk into a hospital, I can tell you who on that floor is going to pass next just by what's next to them.
Right.
Sherry wrote, I believe they use some energies because I had both ETs, Grace, thank you. Now I can see that. And reptilians plus the demonics on the same nights. Yes. Well, they can use the same portals as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. Thomas, I believe. I can't see the other comments. Thomas, I believe.
Which one do you want to see?
I just want to see the new after Bradley. Sorry, I can't see anything.
Yeah,
it says new comments, but I can't scroll
get back to Bradley. Here's Thomas. Yeah. Angels are a light source from God in the universe. Okay. Let me go back because we missed Bradley. I haven't seen a UFO yet. Ooh, they're out there. But I did go to the Stedman Friedman exhibit. Okay, yeah, Fredericton Regional Museum. And that got me thinking. Yeah, well, we definitely
Friedman, yeah. He did a different view as well.
Yeah, we definitely, hey, Zach, right, there we go. I think we share space with all kinds of different beings. That's for sure. And I'm on board with everybody else. I believe that they're all very separate. And I believe when you're working with people, you have to work with their faith and what makes them feel empowered. They can either be extraterrestrial, interdimensional, yes.
Yeah. And Thomas is not religious. So it's an interesting perspective to hear him say that. He's not religious.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like to see, I know a lot of people want to see them the same because they look at the human race that we're different shapes, colors, and sizes, but yet we're a human race. I understand that they're still energy beings and they're different shapes, sizes, and colors. I agree with that, but I don't feel I feel like the angels are a different kind of higher power.
Mhm.
And I believe that they interact with people of faith a little bit differently too, because
Mhm.
people who have a lot of these visions
Vibration.
are, yes.
It's vibration, higher
Yeah.
vibrational beings. And that's what we were talking about with vibrations and frequencies.
hmm
You know, you have those lower levels and then you have these really high level, you know, that's going to make you feel like, you know. So UFOs have
Definitely.
infiltrated Earth and our DNA. But yeah, I agree with you. Very different
Yeah.
from spirit world. I agree with you 100% on that, Thomas. 100%. What is this,
Yeah.
Bradley? So if there's a God, did God create the aliens? Oh, say that's what I'm talking about.
That's
People
a
get real fun.
whole other show.
That's a whole other show indeed. That's where it gets kind of funky because
Oof.
some people believe that aliens don't have any faith. Others people believe that they're very, very spiritual. In fact, you guys have to almost tune into tomorrow night's show
Oh, yes.
because George Artson, he really does connect spirituality with extraterrestrials. It's
Gerard really opened my
Gerard, yeah.
eyes.
Oh, it's
He
wild.
really opened my eyes. We had to
Yeah,
pre-record that because of where he lives, but we will be
yeah.
in the
He's from
chat.
Amsterdam. Yeah, but we'll be in chat with you guys tomorrow. We'll be in chat with you guys tomorrow on that one. But no, it actually, are they part of God's creations? We don't know. I think we're looking at God. God is like as source. God is source. God's the creator. What falls under that umbrella? Because there are many different universes. Did he create all of these different universes or multiverses or all these
Right.
parallel dimensions or
Or
is
is
it
he
just
separate?
ours?
Is he
Yeah.
separate?
Right?
Do
We're
they
all
have a
one and the
different
same,
source?
all creatures of the universe. But see, that's the key right here, Thomas. That's the key of the universe. There are several.
Mm,
We're talking multiverses here.
yeah.
Lots of them. The
The Bible
Bible's-
says he created. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. I don't want to offend anyone, but the Bible is people's opinions and perspective hundreds of years after the fact.
Yeah, and I tend to lean more in the Old Testament if I have to put merit into any of it personally.
Yeah.
Just saying.
We had a Latin Bible that my mom had,
Yeah.
but when I was emptying out my dad's house, somehow I couldn't find it, and I don't know why.
Funny
But
that.
yeah, I it would have come in handy when I had that hag down there, but it would have worked. I think that would have been enough just holding it forward.
Right.
It's really sad because it was very delicate and everything, and I don't know what happened to it, but anyways, I was very sad for that. It's a whole different story
Mhm.
than what you're reading now. That's all I'm
Mhm.
going to say. I've sat down. I have a lot of friends that are priests, and I've become friends with the priests in the parish here, even though I don't practice Catholicism and show up in church. They're not too keen on that, but we've had a lot of conversations.
Mhm.
So I'm with Michelle on that one.
Yeah.
Gotta go way, way back, because if you look at the history of the writings, some of them are just way too new.
We also have civilizations that goes back tens of thousands of years, and they're finding evidence of this all over the place now, you know, and you have to also factor in the point that Christianity, Catholicism borrowed from many of these cultures, including paganisms. You know, churches were built over top of their temples for a reason, because the temples were built over power spots. You know, look at Stonehenge. There's many places like Stonehenge. There's many places like the ancient pyramids,
Eastern Islands. Yeah.
Exactly, all of that. Yeah, 22,000 years at least.
At least.
So, I mean, they're finding stuff now that go back. You know, Joe and I have done stuff on the gray zone, and there are discoveries that go back 500,000 years, and it's one of those out of place things. Like, this shouldn't exist. But it's like he's also said, how many times has the planet purged itself of people? Often. This is like, often.
I know who holds some of that information.
Hey, Thomas, you want to co-host with us tonight? I love
Oh,
this
Thomas
stuff.
is so
This is
well
great.
versed. Yeah.
I know. We've got really good interactions.
He's an amazing writer too. And artist.
I love it. I love it. Now, to back up a minute, Zach, if I ever encountered the beings that interacted with me back in 2009 again, I would love to ask them about their interpretation of God. I would love to hear the answer of that also, actually. their interpretation. Some abductees have said that their captors or, extraterrestrial didn't seem to have any sort of connection, while the light beings do seem to have a connection. It came out of sort of fact in the Bible. It talks a bit about ghosts, but are they ghosts talking about our today's aliens? That could be. That
so
could
many
be.
questions. There's so many questions.
We don't know, like, are we them in the future, the past? And, I remember one time using one of the pieces of equipment, and a voice came through and I asked who they were. And they said, we are you, you are us. We are one. And you'll often hear me say that. I'm just like, we're us. You're me, I'm you. Literally. Like in the past, in the future. Are we all just melded together right now? Like, what is this exactly? I thought that was a really unbelievable statement. Yeah, that's right. They would understand. Again, I agree with you. Probably understand source, God, better than we do. Oh, 100%. 100%. There's people who have been abducted and they've talked about messages that extraterrestrials have given them. And we I think, again, the powers that be seem to have some kind of control over us. So they have to instill fear in us. And when we get used to it and we don't fear that anymore, they'll come up with something else. So, the whole alien thing or UFO thing, okay, disclosure. People are like, yeah, disclosure, do it. And I was like, crap. We're not really scared of this. So now it's like, oh, alien invasion. It's going to amp it up a little bit. And people, they want people to be afraid of that. But, some of the messages that are documented with contactees are that they're coming through with messages of hope and saying, you have to treat your elderly better. You have to treat your people better. You have to give them medicine. You have to teach. You have to protect the environment. It's all really enlightening messages.
It's not fear-based.
And it's not fear-based. And I'm not going to say that there's not, because there's a flip side. There's a yin and the yang to every situation. But so many people have come through and said, you know what? I had really good experiences. And then some people are kind of like, yeah, but probing and this and that. And, I'm kind of like anything that lurks around, whether it's human or extraterrestrial. If you got to lurk around and come into my boudoir, which is my safe place at night, I'm going to freaking like snap your little neck.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what I think I said the first time. Touch me and I'll snap your neck. I'm pretty sure that's the first thing that ever came out of my mouth.
And then you hear, why don't they talk to me? Why aren't they communicating? I don't understand it.
I have eased up since then, but it was just a bit unnerving. It's standing there,
Could still have PTSD from that experience, poor thing.
But seriously, like, who does that? That's what makes people nervous. But now there's this entire movement that they go out, and this is something Russian scientists have been doing since the 80s. Now there's this movement that goes out and it calls to them. Scientists in Russia said we never had to go to space. We just knew how to bring them to us. And they did. And they did all of this research. And now
they stayed. They stayed. That's a real thing. They stayed. It's a real thing, guys.
Maybe they were here all along, though. Does anybody ever think of that? Maybe they were here all along.
Before us.
Yeah.
There's proof. Archaeological digs prove that. Prove their presence way back, even before Christ.
What's in the water? Well, yeah, before Christ. Just look at some of the, ancient biblical times. You're going to find, artists. Da Vinci's just one of them, but there are many artists who depict religious paintings with UFOs
built the
in
pyramids.
The background.
Yes, they did.
There you go. I know.
But the archaeologists will tell you differently. They'll tell you that there was a waterway that they built and they floated them down. And I'm like, yeah, how'd you get them on the floats?
It can get ugly. It can get ugly. There's just something.
It really can. But I'm sorry. The question that I beg to ask is, how did you get that giant block on a float to begin with to carry it over through this?
We've had guests who've talked about that. So
yeah,
I don't know.
No,
Everybody's got a theory, Everybody's got a theory. And I think With that being said, I welcome theories because we weren't there.
How
Nobody
you learn.
really knows for sure, right?
But it's interesting hearing everybody's perspective because that's how you learn something, and you could maybe piece. Both of you might have pieces of that puzzle that you can bring together and have an answer. World War II, they say Germany was influenced by aliens in their weapons. That's from
100%.
Bradley. That's
It's
not
true.
even a question.
No, it's for sure. Look at the
Third
Nazi
Reich.
bell. The Nazi
Yeah.
bell. That was just one of those things.
Yeah.
And that story goes back to a connection with light beings.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's a huge one.
building UFOs, not even counting the Nazi bell. And that's the theory, which some people believe are conspiracy theories, and others are saying, this is a real thing. We've had a guest on recently that talked about that with the Dark Fleet.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Fleet.
But tomorrow, you don't want to miss tomorrow. We will be in the chat room because I was just, I don't easily get starstruck. And every time Gerard spoke, I was just like, you kidding me? He really gave me so much food for thought. And you'll see that in my reaction as well. I just really enjoyed. I enjoy all of our guests. Gerard was just something different. He was not in it for notoriety, just in it to put the information out there and for truth. And you'll see that in him when he's speaking, and he has a lot to back himself up.
He is. He's really fascinating. I think you guys will like him. But again, heads up, it is a pre-recorded show, but we will be in chat interacting with you guys. So it's still going to be lots of fun because we're lots of fun. Fun. What the hell? Of course,
we'll get to do it within our PJs instead of makeup.
I know, PJs. Yeah, it'd be awesome. But the poor guys in Amsterdam, this is like a million years, time change between us. So, you will start seeing a little bit more of that because we even have some of our UK guests who struggle a little bit with the time change. It is really difficult for them.
4:00 in the morning for them.
It's 2 to 4. Yeah, it's really hard. And and there are other guests who just say, no, I can't do it unless we can record. So we're going to start doing that a little bit more often because there's just a lot of really good content out there that I think that you guys are all, we'll all sort of
always be there. We'll always be there. We'll always be in chat. And it's not going to happen every week. It's just when we have to fit those ones in because it is important for you to hear what they have to say.
Really good guests coming up, and I'm going to now. I mean, we started slowly booking into the beginning of the year already.
We're hitting October.
It's really just me who's been slacking on the booking because it's just trying to leave some
too
space
much to book too far ahead though. A lot of people
Look at Bradley just like talked about my most favorite topic ever. Here's one for you, Michelle. Do you think the Knights Templar had any influence by aliens? Oh, yes.
It's a loaded question.
I do.
There's proof of that.
I think when it comes to the Knights Templar, first of all, a lot of people confuse them with the Crusaders. Are two entirely apples and oranges right there. So you have to verse yourself on that. But I also truly believe, and this from the words of Freddie Silva, who I love Freddie's stuff. If you guys are really interested in the Templars, you have to read his stuff on the Knights Templar.
Oh, yeah.
Templar Nation is like mind blowing.
Tons of DVDs too.
Just
and if you have Gaia, you'll find him on that as well.
Yeah, he's really wonderful. But he made one point that really drove things home for me that might just answer that question. A lot of these were noblemen who first started. The Templar movement was going on in Portugal long before you heard about them. But when you have a man like Hugh de Payens coming in, of noble descent, he's just one of them, okay? He made a point. He said, rich men do not give up their wealth to go treasure hunting. They just don't. So what would they be doing then? Well, they would be looking for knowledge. But let's face it, the knowledge they were looking for, it was out of this world. It was out of this world. They're going back to bloodlines. You're going back to conspiracy stuff. You're going back to stuff that what people thought was a conspiracy has been proven to be truth. Mm-hmm. So when you factor all that in, if the ancients were influenced by extraterrestrials, you see it in so many of the temples all over the world, starting going down to Mexico, down South America, go down to Egypt, go to China, Goes through all these different places in Europe. There is a huge influence. And I think Freddie also has, a book on, the missing gods or the missing lands. You really have to watch that. You go watch the DVD, read the book, do something, because it is mind-blowing.
He's incredible.
And we're going to have him on again. He's been on twice, so look for his archives again.
He's leaving for Egypt on one of his
he is. Yes, he is. He does those trips all the time.
Yeah.
So
got a huge waiting list as well.
I truly believe that, yes, that they, along with many other influential historical figures, or even people of ancient cultures, were in constant contact. And they didn't have a fear of aliens the way we seem to have the fear now, because I believe that media has put that fear into us. Hollywood has put that fear into us. The ancients didn't fear them. They didn't. They waited for them. They built monuments to them, waited for them to come back. Does that sound like people are fearful?
That sounds like somebody who benefited from what they do, and that's why they did that. That's what it sounds like to me.
We're just all the people that, exactly. Media they messed everything up, but they wanted, that's control. How do you control the masses?
Create fear.
Keep them fearful. That's exactly right. So, yes, Bradley, I do think they may have had influence by aliens.
I think you should look at whatever they built historically, and I bet you'll be able to see the proof right there for yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's everywhere. You just have to look.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all there. You look into out-of-place artifacts, for instance. Just Google out-of-place artifacts and really look at what some of these things are. Look at hieroglyphs, look at cave drawings, and look at
He's going to be up all night.
Just don't make any darn sense, but yet they're here.
He's going to be up all night. He's already an hour ahead of us, isn't he?
I know. You really have to tune into the Gray Zone on Saturdays when Joe and I do that, because we touch on a lot of that stuff.
It's later for you. If Bradley, is he still out east?
Yes. So
then it's 7:00 for you, which is great, because you'll already have dinner and you can sit down with your Folgers coffee and you can watch it.
I know. It's 6 to 8 Eastern, so that would be an hour.
7:00 Atlantic. Yes.
Yeah. So
it's shocking how it's only an hour.
I know.
Shocking. And Alberta's time just never changes. We won't even go there. I'm so confused. I always, if I'm looking at time zone for Alberta, I always have to Google it, because there's a time of year where it doesn't change. It stays the same. And I never know when. So I always have to look it up. But anyways.
I know.
And I love Alberta. I think it's gorgeous.
We have a beautiful country.
Yes, we do.
We're very fortunate.
Do.
We're very fortunate. So I have to wait for our fearless leader to get back into his seat to play the outro. So I'm just going to sit there. He's like, I can hear you. So we're going to wait. If I have to, I'll have to go figure this crap out myself.
And when we come, we have one more show, and then it's October.
I know. I love it. As the joy of living near the West Coast. Only 7:55 p.m. here.
Oh, you're in the West Coast. Who said that?
Right.
Thomas?
No, Zach.
Zach. Yes. Thomas is in BC. So they're in the same time zone.
Contact with them. Oh, okay. Yes, Bradley. Interested in knowing for Aboriginal peoples. I did have contact with them, and why not more is known. There's actually quite a few that is known. And are we talking Templars or ETs? The Mi'kmaq, of course, out that way, Nova Scotia, had contact with Henry Sinclair, if you're talking Templars, and they came in the 1300s. And there's some that come out even before that. So ETs are everybody. There's all kinds. They had contact before the rest of us. But I see producer's back, so I'm gonna have to do our outro, and then we're gonna get some more cool music by Dr. Snick. Anyway, here we go. Brace yourselves. I have to do this. Sorry, guys. It was a lot of fun. I have to say, we're going to do another one of these in December. Just saying. This was a throw-in, but I think we'll do another one for December because it's so lighthearted and so much fun. We got, just put
my favorite time.
I know it's your favorite. I'm like Halloween. I'm getting into my favorite time.
Yeah.
But like all good things, everything comes to an end, and we have had another fantastic segment here in the Outer Realm. really thank you guys all for tuning in. It was so nice to see friends and colleagues and, you know, people just offering their input, and it's been great. I love to be able to do this and just you know, interact with everybody so personally and on such a level. But our biggest thank yous, of course, will go to our sponsors, and of course that we have Folgers Coffee. Again, we love you guys. You make us who we are. Thank you. And another thank you to Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker, who has provided us with his voice and his music for our new intro and outro.
So amazing.
They're just unbelievable.
All his music is incredible. Check it out.
Exactly. So remember, head on over to YouTube, go over to the International Public Radio UFO Paranormal as of now, subscribe so you don't miss anything. And of course, you know, show us some love on Facebook over there on the Outer Realm. If you want to contact us, please do so at the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com, Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. And tomorrow night, as mentioned, Mr. Artson, you don't want to miss him. Yes, you do not. Gerard is awesome. He is coming to you all the way from Amsterdam. And because of this, like I said, it is a pre-recorded show. But we'll meet you all in chat. That's that. Have a good night.
It'll be awkward. It's in light.
We're going to be there anyway. It is in the light. It's a daytime
daylight.
recording. It's the only thing. It's the best we could do, guys. Best we could do.
Great show.
Yeah. Thank you.
You have been listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, airing live every Wednesday and Thursday evening, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 10 p.m. Central, on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in Rouen,